you are hardly in any position to make lofty demands. The Council convened and unanimously stripped you of your role. You no longer hold the privileges of the Eye.
And how quickly did you convene that council? You hardly waited for my daughter's body to cool.
She is dead because of you. Because of your reckless behavior and deception, no less.
Hirun, how dare you? Every decision I've made, every action I've taken has been for her protection.
Abandoning her at the Grand Gate was for her protection. We all saw you on the scry. And that is Khan Arteme to you, Kenric.
Is this a bad time?
Yes, as a matter of fact.
No. You're more than welcome at Cassidon's Hold. We wouldn't be here if it weren't for you.
I came to offer my condolences. To both of you.
Oh. Thank you.
In the end, she was braver than any of us could have imagined. She took a stand and did what she believed was right. I owe her my life.
She was exceptional. It's hard to imagine the Enclave will ever recover from this loss.
Then why are you so opposed to giving her the funeral she deserves?
With the Surgeborn swarming Denevron, we can't risk a trip to the Hallowpire Rise.
For generations, every Stanild has received the right of ashes upon death. Isla will not be the exception to this.
Could I perform the rite on your behalf?
You? Don't tell me you're a Hallowpire priestess on top of being a righteous pain in my ass.
Skies, do you want a funeral or not? She's our best option.
Isla saved my life. I want to help you honor her death.
I suppose you do owe her that. Fine. For the rite of ashes, you need to burn an object that was sacred to the deceased upon the high pyre. As you collect the ashes, you must read a rite aloud to thank the flames for bringing the deceased to rest.
Do you have an object that was sacred to Isla?
Isla's most prized possessions aren't in Cassidon's Hold. She had a secret refuge in Dredger's Mire. You're sure to find something. She was always sneaking away at night to work there.
You knew she was sneaking out of Cassidon's Hold.
I knew my daughter better than she realized. Return to me with the ashes.
Thank you, Bryn. Both of you this time. Must be important.
It is. We've identified a long-term risk to our people. A source of decay in our enchanted devices. And I've prepared a list of safety measures we should take.
You have?
Yes, we... Wait. Why did you say that like you already know?
Arakim, do you know how intense the competition to become Axel truly is? Even in our diminished state, it is ruthless. Each guild jockeying for its representative to be elevated. To win the seat, you need allies, knowledge, and the will to use both.
You've been watching us this whole time?
I have been watching you, Bryn. Yes. I have been judging Arakim.
Always a test.
What I have seen is growth. Your enthusiasm and energy has never been in question. But your judgment and initiative have often been rash. But in working with Bryn's band, I've seen you set goals, lead plans, move from asking permission to making your case. just as you came here to do, did you not? To lay out a set of clear steps we should take to preserve our new scries and keep our people safe?
Yes, that is exactly what I was going to do.
You should act on your recommendations with my complete support. I know you're not making them lightly, and they affect your people the most. So yes, it was a test. And as Khan, it will be the first of many.
You just said Khan.
I did. The scouts have been ignored for far too long, as we tried to pretend everything is as it was. Enough. Unless you disagree, Arik.
No, not at all. We've been pushing for this forever.
Good. And you should thank Bryn when we're done. She raised a very salient point in our last chat that swept away the last of my hesitations. Now take a knee, would you? There's work to be done, and neither of us is really built for fancy ceremonies. If we have learned anything in the past while, it's that standing too firmly on ceremony costs us time and opportunities. We, as a people, would have withered and died without the tireless efforts of your scouts and their forebearers. And yet we have not recognized them out of fear of tipping a balance that was already lost. And so I elevate you, Arakim Katabi, to the station of Khan of the Enclave, and grant you the title of Guide. May your initiative and care chart a path for us all.
Hey, I can't imagine how you must be feeling.
I am broken. Everyone wants a piece of me. Regardless.
Because you're in charge.
For now. Someone had to be. I don't know how I'm supposed to carry on like this. Without her, my support is gone. My foundations crumbled to dust. She wouldn't want me to cry. So I won't.
You can if you need to. I know our Weaver Band is still fairly new here, but you've got our support. All of us.
The funeral will honor her memory. Even if it's not what he wants, she would understand that it's enough. One day at a time, Bryn. That's all we can promise to ourselves.
might be Isla's secret refuge. It's actually not too far from Lucia's workshop. Isla dedicated her life to restoring the Arks. Darm's right. We will need to continue her research. But for now, what might she consider sacred for the right? Darm, do you think this could work for the Rite of Ashes?
It's perfect.
Oh. Isla also had a copy of On the Workings of Archons, marked with annotations, just like Lucia's.
Could be useful.
Wait, I'm losing you.
You hear me better now?
Yeah. Weird. The scry was cutting out.
Strange. At any rate, the book could be useful. Once you've completed the ritual, I'll take a look.
A letter from... the accent. I should take it back to her. I'll need to place the toy ark on the high pyre. Sad to burn such a sweet toy. Now to collect the ashes. Though the flame abates and the ash grows cold, let she who worshipped you rest in eternal warmth.
Beautiful, Bryn.
I'm sure Isla is.
There it is again. The scry is cutting in and out. Dom? Aurea?
We're... Can you hear me now?
You're back.
While you bring the ashes to Cassidon's hold, I'll analyze the scry. Something strange is afoot.
The last conversation I had with the Spindle was about Era's plague. I went to Cassidon's Hold to visit her.
Really? Well, my understanding was that she didn't experience it herself.
No, but she understood being stigmatized by it. Even though Era's plague affects many races, most believe it only affects Kashar. I haven't known many others like me throughout my life. Not intimately, at least. It was nice to speak with someone who understood that part of me.
I'm glad you got that chance.
Agreed. We never know how much time we'll have with someone.
Let's make every second of ours count, then.
I wouldn't have it any other way.
I performed the rite, and I brought you the ashes.
Thank you, Bryn. Isla admired you. She would be honored that you did this for her.
It's not how she would have wanted things. I should have been there.
Enough! I know you're grieving. We all are. But you are no longer the Eye, and this disrespectful conduct ends now. You owe Bryn a thank you. And an apology for that matter. And probably a great deal more than that. Not only has she gone out of her way to perform the rite for your daughter, but she saved us all from certain death at the Grand Gate too. None of which she would ever have had to do if it weren't for your...
For my actions! I know! I know! It's all my fault. I should have been there. Not at the temple. At the Grand Gate. I should have stayed. The way she looked at me when I left her there. Never forget it. I could fill a city with my mistakes. I should have supported her work. I should never have lied to her. My regrets will drown me.
Maybe they should.
Maybe they should.
My mother used to say, you can drown in your grief, or learn to swim in it. It is unfair that you lost a child, no matter the circumstances. I am so sorry that happened to you. But now you have a choice. You can spend the rest of your days counting the ways you failed your daughter. Or you can dedicate every breath you have left to her.
How?
Just do one small thing a day that would make her proud to call you her father. Start by helping us finish the work you wish you had supported in her life.
It's too late for that, I'm afraid. If you'll excuse me. But there is one thing. The Ark in your camp, the one she wanted to restore. It's called the Ark of Verdance. An enchantress named Lucia de Crassus built it.
Lucia.
Consider it a thank you for what you've done.
Is there anything else you can tell me about the Ark of Verdance?
Please. I've had enough. Just leave me be.
Fine. I understand.
You deserved better from him, but that was probably all he's capable of. Come to think of it, we all deserved better from him.
What will you do now?
Take care of my people. Someone needs to. And you? You're going to try to fix the arcs.
The Ark we followed through the Veil. We have no idea what it was doing outside the Enclave in the first place. Or even how it got us in here. If we're ever going to stand a chance of leaving, or bringing down the Veil, we need to find out more.
I wish I could help, but arcs were Isla's expertise, not mine. Still, I agree. That arc allowed you to pass safely through the tangles, where Surgeborn go to regenerate. If you're going to try to fix it, consider me heavily invested in your progress.
It's too great an advantage to ignore. I'll keep you updated.
I need you to know, nobody else has been checking in on me like you have. I feel as if I'm alone in the stifling dark. But you are a bright light. Even though everything is very hard, I need you to know that I see what you're doing. Thank you.
Of course. It's just the right thing to do.
You, laying Isla to rest, is what she would have wanted, despite what her father said. You inspired her to be better, braver. It respects her memory to the fullest.
It was the least I could do.
Don't diminish your contributions.
You've got our support, whatever form that takes.
For what it's worth, I appreciate that.
By the way, I found something that you might want to see. It's a letter I found in the Spindle's hideout. It looked like your handwriting. I didn't read it.
I don't understand why you've been so kind to us, Bryn.
It's okay. I'll let you get back to it, all right?
Likewise.
My light. I remember the day you were born, vividly. When I held you, my heart was so full it threatened to break. And I know your mother felt the same way. For all her flaws, she would be so proud of you. I am so proud of you.
You must be thinking of running after these emergency measures.
I assure you, I am not thinking of much beyond what fresh crisis the next hour holds.
We just fill our lives with slow mornings in your tent from now on.
You'll get no complaints here. I take every chance I can get to watch the sunrise with you.
How do you do it?
Do what?
Make rest bearable. I've never been one to just sit in stillness. In fact, before you, lazing around sounded like torture. Not making the most of every second made me want to claw my skin off.
That sounds so sad to me.
I guess it was. With you, I can just be. And it's enough.
I know what you mean.
Really? Because it seems like you've been an expert at staying present long before I came along. Sometimes it feels like you're ahead of me on a lot of this stuff.
I guess I've always thought that happiness only exists in the present. Planning too much for the future breeds anxiety, and meditating too much on the past breeds loss. So I have always tried to just be, as much as anyone can. But with you, these slow moments somehow make me feel irrelevant? Well, that sounds bad, but I mean it in a good way.
I know. Like, there's no one to save and nothing to fix. The world just melts away.
Have you ever felt like you couldn't trust the people around you? Well, never mind. You did tell me about Aaron and how he undermined your confidence. I suppose it would have been hard to hold trust in someone who didn't respect you.
It wasn't fun, I can tell you that. Is there someone here who's putting you on edge?
It's Sev, and how he was collaborating with the Eye behind our backs.
Oh? I can understand, but you didn't exactly seem blown away by the revelation.
I didn't have time to process it. I have now, and the more I think about it, the more upset I feel. Logically, I understand the situation. I can trace the weave of circumstance that forced his hand and led to his deception. I know he had no choice, and I've even forgiven him. I said the words to his face, so why am I still so angry?
That's a tough one.
It reminded me again of Udea. Will the fear and the manipulation follow me forever? Will it taint everything? The secrets, the lies, the subterfuge. The Maida may seem a balmy paradise, but in reality, it is a toxic swamp. Every fiber of my being is screaming at the prospect of having my life ruined by this again.
All right. It's clear that sitting around base camp chewing on this isn't doing you any good. You need a distraction.
Possibly. What did you have in mind?
The Axel must be overwhelmed right now. Let's find something to help her with.
I'm amenable to this. Shall I let you ask her, or...?
Oh no. You're coming with me.
I suppose it'd be good to catch up with her, and I'll meet you at Cassidy's Hold, then. See you soon.
Hard to believe I have a title now.
The Axel seemed certain you were ready for it.
Haroon's also a politician. She knows this somewhat buys my loyalty to her if she tries to become the next Eye.
Do you think this will drastically change how you interact with the other scouts?
In time, I imagine so. We've been without an advocate for so long, and right now's the best time for me to push. I do have some promising candidates to take over day-to-day operations. I suppose we'll have to accelerate that process.
Takes multiple people to replace you,
You got me. Yes, I was bragging. I think it's critical we have some checks to make sure the system's working. If one group is over or underperforming, I can try to work with them to figure out why. Wins, listen to me. Just chain me to a desk already. All I do is stare at scrolls and move abacus beads now.
Would you support her then?
Haroon's a practical lady. She knows the scouts are critical to our ongoing survival. Farming and fishing around Cassidy's keeps us fed, but rare materials for alchemy, medicines, enchanting and so on, all us.
Which gives you some leverage.
It does. But also my title is precarious, as she granted it as acting Eye. No one's going to challenge her, not right now. But implicitly, if she goes, I go with her.
Job one will be dealing with the source, right? You feeling up to it?
If it were all on me, I'd be overwhelmed. But I've got your band. An exceptional group with an exceptional point. But you tell me, am I ready?
I'm with the Axel. It's going to be a change, though.
A shift in the winds, for sure.
Still, look at how you interact with the band here, now. Arranging tasks, working with them. I think you feel more comfortable here.
I do. Your group is inspiring. Everyone's pulling in the same direction. I doubt I can capture that particular magic with all the politics around the hold, but maybe I can match it with the scouts.
I'm excited to see how it goes, Khan Katabi.
I hope I live up to your and everyone's expectations.
You will.
All this time, the Spindle was sneaking out of Cassidy's hold, and I had no idea.
Sounds like you two had more in common than you realized.
Just reminds me that you've got to tell people how you feel when you get the chance.
Was there something you wish you had told the Spindle?
Just how much I appreciated her level head and expertise. And that we all knew her father wasn't why she was the Spindle.
Oh, Bryn. Hi.
Were you crying? Are you okay?
Yes. The rite of ashes just got to me, that's all. The Spindle and the Axle only had such a brief time together.
It's awful. I can't imagine how she's feeling right now.
So much in life can be fleeting. It just makes you appreciate what a gift the time you have with someone is.
You performed the Rite of Ashes beautifully, Bryn.
Glad to hear it. Not being part of the church myself, I felt a little out of place.
I'm sure Isla is at peace.
The rite I read mentioned shrouding the Spindle in an eternal warmth. Is that in reference to an afterlife?
Yes, although the Reformed sect do believe in an afterlife, it is featured more prominently in Orthodox Hallowpire beliefs. The idea being that the Great Fire is an ethereal, divine being which cannot be fully comprehended in this life, and who waits for its followers beyond this lifetime.
The Eye asked me to collect the ashes from the altar on his behalf. What does he intend to do with them?
It depends on the sect. But often the ashes from the ritual are interred with the body in a burial site. Other times, if it's a prominent family, which the Stanilds seem to be, the ashes are housed in a family mausoleum. Tragic, of course, that a father must do this for his child instead of the other way around.
A religion founded on fire seems like a natural draw for weavers. Was that your experience in Renland?
Hardly. In Renland, magic was ostracized. And there, it was viewed as unnatural corruption of fire. Pure ignorance. That's why I've turned my back on it for many years. But you're right, that the Stanild family's religious beliefs are notable. The prominence of the church in Upper Denevron suggests the weavers here held it in high regard.
I appreciate your perspective on it, but I'd better let you get back to work.
Before you go, thank you for laying her to rest. You could have just paid your respects and left, but it was the right thing to do. I think we all suspected prolonged exposure to the raw magic in here would affect creatures, but it's surprising to see how far it's gone.
Is it possible the same thing is happening to us? Or has happened to the Hearthsiders?
While it's long been theorized we must have something akin to Strands in us, they've never manifested like in a great creature. On one hand, this means we need mantles to mimic what they do naturally. On the other, Asha, Cassil, and so on seem less affected by the Enclave. It's not like Arakim has grown a third arm. I think we can presume safety for some time.
You think this is caused by something other than direct contact with raw magic, like the tangles?
Oh yes. It's that the air is so thick with magic that tangles can even form. It's unprecedented, and thank the flames for that. Imagine if every creature across the Maida acted as aggressive as the ones you're facing.
What do we do about it, though?
Our first step has to be securing the source. If it's the reason the Enclave had access to so much magic before the Surge, it's also why things are so suffused with raw magic. You see, this is largely an infrastructure problem. The leaks in the tapestry will have to be sealed and magic slowly consumed through usage. If we can reduce the emission of raw magic to below our consumption, the concentration will drop. Once the levels inside match the rest of the Maida, we should be back to some semblance of normal.
Dom, the interference I'm experiencing during expeditions is concerning. Is there any chance our scry is degrading like the ones belonging to the Enclave?
No. I'm positive this is something else entirely. Our scry remains unchanged. We have the means to test for degradation, and there is none. I'll need to investigate further.
As long as it doesn't give out on us completely in the meantime.
However, I have taken a look at the Spindle's copy of the workings of Archons, and thankfully, the writing is far more legible than Lucia's. And her notes are significantly less paranoid at that.
About that, Kenrick Stanold told me that Lucia wasn't just tinkering with the arc we followed through the Veil. She built it. The Ark of Verdance.
That is quite the revelation. What was it for?
That was all Kenrick could tell me. Or wanted to tell me. But Sev mentioned that Kenrick had been feeding Isla information about a failsafe for the Source. Could the Ark of Verdance be the fix she was working on without realizing it?
Yes. Yes! That could be it. Genius, Bryn. On my side, I dug into her notes. She was working on a way to fully restore our Ark for us. She was so close to a schematic, intricate, elaborate, masterful. And I finished it. Solar has the final design ready for you. Essentially, we'll be creating a power core for the Ark. Most notably, we'll need a special part, a bar of shaped coral. This is the final key for an Ark to be functional on its own without a Weaver channeling magic into it.
If we had built a power core earlier, could her death have been prevented?
She only made this discovery in the final days of her life, through researching all the Ark parts we had supplied her. Her research even theorizes that using one's own magic to power an Ark for brief amounts of time could result in death.
So she knew she was going to die at the Grand Gate?
She knew exactly what would happen, and did it anyway. That's courage.
We can't let it be in vain. So, then the Ark of Verdance is our failsafe. Your design will get it running. Where can I find the shaped coral?
She suspected it was kept in the Archon's hearth, stored near natural coral deposits for its regenerative properties.
The Archon's hearth once more. I wish Isla was here to guide me.
I could assist in her absence.
What the?
Bryn, what?
Aurea, the scry has been compromised by the Surgeborn. Stay off it.
Compromised is such a strong word. I just want to talk. plan you've concocted, it would be better if we worked together.
You murdered my friend.
Technically, I didn't touch her. It isn't my fault she lacked the stamina to follow through on what she started.
There's a lot of coral here. I must be getting close to where the Enclave stored shaped bars. Will the Surgeborn know a plan when I pick it up? I guess that's a risk I need to take.
barge-shaped coral. You and I have such similar taste in treasure. Whatever you were planning to do with that is nothing compared to what we could accomplish if we put our minds together.
I can manage well enough on my own.
You could do so much more than that.
The Surgeborn in the Howling Jail somehow has access to the scry.
We know. I can feel it in there with me. It's not pleasant. We need to do something fast.
The good news is, as far as we can tell, it only has access when you're in the underworks. At most, it seems to cause interference when you're above ground. We don't think it can listen in.
Until we can block its presence, best to keep use of the scry to a minimum.
Aurea, I could feel the Surgeborn too. I know exactly what you mean.
Doesn't feel great.
The kind of nausea that only comes from the wind being knocked out of you.
It takes a lot out of me to stay connected to you when it's present, let alone speak.
That must be why there's interference.
What you're both describing, it makes me wonder if the Eye was under a deeper influence from the Surgeborn than we realized.
How so?
We assumed he was merely manipulated into a foolhardy plan, but what if the Surgeborn had some sort of effect on his mind?
I could believe it. But if that's the case, then we need to limit Bryn's exposure to it through the scry. Fast.
And yours.
I don't think it's me the Surgeborn wants to influence. From the sounds of it, it wants you.
Weavers need a physical connection to the scry to communicate, either by wearing the earpiece or touching the scroll. The Surgeborn doesn't have either, so how is it connecting to our scry?
Well, let's start with what we know. The imprisoned Talon was able to convince Stanild to open the gate. But the Herald was there and waiting. It was not surprised at all, despite the Scout's distractions. Ergo, the Herald and Talon were communicating somehow, yet the Talon had been imprisoned for years. Would it not be reasonable to suggest the Surgeborn can communicate with one another using something like our scry? Or worse, perhaps they can share thoughts needing no magic at all.
A single shared consciousness.
The implications are frankly staggering, but it is the only explanation I can think of for what we've observed. And if I'm correct, it's not such a leap to imagine creatures like this, or perhaps a creature, would be capable of infiltrating our scry.
Let's hear it. How bad is all this?
The scry is a complex piece of Weaver enchantment. That this Surgeborn has broken in is not good.
We still don't know exactly what it wants, but if it continues to infiltrate our constructs, this could mean an all-out war.
War?
Imagine they gain control of the Enclave's arcs. Sure, they're dangerous now, but with a sentient strategist behind them, they could storm the Maida in a couple of hundred strides.
You think the Surgeborn's interests expand beyond the Enclave?
With an enemy as calculated as this, best to assume the worst.
All right. How are we going to fix this?
The reason Aurea can sense the Surgeborn presence on the scry is likely because it's wielding magic to communicate. The same way Aurea's mantle pulls magic from the air to contact you. However, unlike Aurea, the Surgeborn can't pull magic from the air around it. Otherwise, it would be talking to you all the time.
But it can only reach me when I'm underground.
Where the tangles are most dense. We need to cut off its access to raw magic.
That's where the Spindle comes in. Thanks to her, we finally have the missing piece to get our escort here running.
It was a failsafe in the case that the source needed to be repaired. The Ark of Verdance will create a safe bubble against the tangles, which would be the natural consequence of any failure of the source.
Just like it did with the Veil.
Exactly. But without the crushing weight that caused it to fail.
So, the plan. We get the Ark to the source, it stabilizes the Enclave.
Or at the very least, starts the process.
If the Herald waiting down there doesn't destroy it first, I'll need to take it down. If this plan is going to work.
That sounds dangerous.
It might be a risk worth taking.
We have to. The Enclave is overflowing with raw magic, and this source is clearly the root of the problem. Too many tangles have led to the floods. They allow the Surgeborn to communicate and infect our enchantments. Without the source under control, we will never reclaim the Enclave.
Then that's our plan. We build a power core, then we speak to the Axle.
I'll join you at Cassidon's Hold.
And with this power core, we can fix our Ark of Verdance. I think this is what they call a full circle moment?
Huh. Lately, I feel like I've been running in circles.
Hey, I know things look bleak, but this is a win. Don't let the Talon rob you of it. You're finishing her work, after all.
You're right.
I always am. Now, I think you've got a meeting with the Axle.
It's a little bit beautiful, isn't it? It's like reaching into the past and shaking hands with its designer. We have achieved much.
I think she'd be happy to see it up and running.
I think so too. Plans set in motion decades ago. Slowly ticking towards fruition. If we are so lucky.
As it turns out, I'm rather glad you tore down Asylum. I was not, at the time, but Arakim's come a long way since he started working with your band.
Arak feels you appointed him as a political move.
Oh, I absolutely did. I'm pleased he recognizes it. A bright future awaits him. I need someone who will push, and he will most certainly do that.
Khan Arteme, my Weaver band has repaired the Ark we followed through the Veil and discovered its true purpose.
To nullify the tangles at the source so it can be repaired.
Its anti-magic properties are why we were able to follow it through the Veil in the first place.
I see.
If we could get it to the source, we believe it could stabilize the Enclave.
Except the Grand Gate was broken when the Ark pushed the Herald back through it.
Surely there must be another way to reach the source.
Now that it's repaired, couldn't this Ark be used to leave the Enclave the way you came?
In theory, sure.
What are you saying, Khan Arteme?
It's time for someone to protect my people. I need to use that Ark to get us all out of here.
You would leave with the Surgeborn running loose? Or worse, allow them to spread and wreak havoc across the Maida in your wake?
No one has succeeded in stopping them yet. We've been trapped inside the Enclave for decades. It's time to set ourselves free before the Surgeborn overtake Kassadin's hold and kill us all.
In moments like these, we can't give in to our worst fears. That's what Kenric did, and look where it got him.
We're only still here because the Spindle was brave. Honor that.
The Surgeborn has infiltrated our scry. It's learning how to use our enchantments against us. If we don't put a stop to this madness, how long until they overtake the Arks? Or bring down the Veil and spread across the Maida?
That is concerning. Still, let's be clear. Even if you could reach the source, there's a massive Surgeborn that almost killed you lurking down there.
I'll be ready for the Herald this time.
And what are you going to do about all the Tangles? Punch them before they disintegrate you?
Honestly, we haven't quite figured that out yet. But Sev has some ideas.
The Ram that was helping Kenric? Really?
Yes. The Ram that repaired the Grand Gate, and warned us just in time to save Kassadin's hold.
Fair enough, I suppose. But as you've said, you have no way to reach the source.
Fine. Our plan has a few kinks to iron out.
More than a few.
How about this? If you can just give us time to present you with the final plan, it'll be your call whether or not we move forward on it.
I suppose that's fair. I can't pack up this stronghold in a day.
One more thing. It's clear by now the Enclave hides its secrets well. If there's any information on the source, I need access to it.
There are private records that can only be accessed with the Eye's signet. I suppose he's not using it at the moment, but...
Bryn did just save your people from certain death not too long ago.
Fine. You can borrow it. You should find information at the Spire in Upper Denevron, the Bastion, and the Institute.
We'll arrange a meeting with you when we're ready.
Good luck.
You.
Hello to you too. Why don't you try greeting me with a smile?
How do you have access to our scry?
Magic.
Seriously?
Your scry is connected to Gloom Gates and by extension the tapestry which spans all through the underworks. No system is impenetrable. I found a way in.
I want you out of my ear. Now. I'm sick of your voice.
And yet you came back to see me. Puzzling.
You're impossible.
The rite of ashes you performed for Kenric's daughter was quite a display. I almost shed a tear.
Were you watching on our scry?
I can only access your scry while you're in the underworks. Thankfully, I have eyes everywhere.
You're watching me through the other Surgeborn.
There are no other Surgeborn. We are one and the same.
Dom's right. You share a consciousness.
It's more like voices in a choir, each unique, but singing together. Anyway, pity you couldn't save her. Is that why you dropped everything to perform a funeral rite for someone you barely know?
She was a friend, and you murdered her. Don't expect to survive long enough to kill someone else I care about.
Technically, I did not kill her. Her limitations are what destroyed her in the end. Funny how magic often provokes overreaching in your kind.
What are you talking about?
Oh, it doesn't matter. Back again. You do like me, don't you?
Hardly.
And you've brought the eye's signet with you. Keep it close, or we might just pluck it from you.
What would you want with the eye signet?
To reveal the Enclave's secrets for myself, of course.
The eye told you that?
He did. Funny how a man who has alienated everyone he loves through ego alone can be so talkative with a stranger. Though he certainly doesn't think he drove his ex-wife away.
He's never spoken of Isla's mother.
Heartbreak does funny things to your kind. Whatever that woman did, she left a bitter man in her wake.
Bryn, and Lane? To what do I owe the pleasure?
We're hoping that there's something you can help us with. Or rather, we're hoping that there's something we can help you with.
I'm not sure I follow.
I've been at a loose end, gnawing on painful thoughts, only growing more despondent in the process.
Huh.
So we're here to focus on problems that are a little more tangible. What can we help you with?
That is very kind of you. I've had a great deal of difficulty keeping on top of things.
I'm sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
We're here to help. Like I said.
Right. I've got a petition from the Scouts here somewhere. Let me find it. Arakim has been nagging me about accessing the Archon's Hearth. Its stores of raw material could busy our Forge Masters for months. Now that I'm technically in charge, I'm loath to follow Kenrick's lead in recklessly sending the Scouts into dangerous situations. What I'm lacking to make that call is intelligence on the Archon's Hearth. Our documentation is decades out of date.
I've already spent a lot of time in there, actually. It was pretty hot, from what I recall.
Dangerous too, one would assume. Can you elaborate on what you saw in there?
While exploring where the Arcs were assembled, I couldn't help but imagine how busy it must have been back before the Surge. Archons seem big when I'm fighting them, but the scale feels totally different when they're attached to a scaffold.
Fascinating.
Well, it was only one area that was particularly hot, but all of it was dangerous.
I assume you refer to the Arcane Foundry, then?
Yeah. It was on another level to what you've got here at the Hold, or what we have at camp. I can't imagine how many Archon parts they produced per day. The most interesting part was where they grew the coral. I could feel the magic running through it,
It is a reminder that there are still lost secrets to be found.
Exactly. Anyway, there's lots going on in there. Do you think it's safe enough to send in the scouts?
Not quite. I still have grave concerns about the fluctuating heat levels.
I believe I may have a solution for that. A potion that will maintain your body temperature even in the hottest conditions. I don't quite have the equipment to make it yet, but the knowledge is there.
That's wonderful news. That said, I would like a demonstration to be sure they work.
A fair stipulation. Some sort of combat encounter in the Archon's hearth under the hottest possible conditions. Fighting an Archon that relies on fire magic would be ideal to demonstrate the potion's efficacy.
You know I'm always up for a challenge.
I have no doubt in your abilities after what I've witnessed you achieve.
Well then, I'll be back once I've felled a mighty construct.
Bryn, how did it go?
It worked amazingly. In fact, I was almost too cold.
I must have prepared it incorrectly. Perhaps too much stirring.
I'm kidding, Lane. It was perfect.
Your elevated wit eludes me once again.
If you two are done messing around, it's excellent to hear that the potions worked. Lane, what sort of quantities can we produce for the scouts?
As much as you need. It's not hard to make.
That's very good news. I wonder why the Eye never explored this as an option.
I would assume the reason sits somewhere between lack of care and gross negligence. Speaking of the Eye, Bryn, the Axel and I had a chance to sit and talk for a while. Would you believe that she isn't his biggest fan either?
There were some subtle context clues that tipped me off.
We were indeed not very cordial with each other at the best of times.
In particular, the way he kept secrets rubbed us both the wrong way. We found ourselves in agreement that any new government here should be built on a foundation of trust and respect.
A foundation that will only be built if we secure our survival. Lane and I don't agree on everything, but it was good to sit and speak with someone who understands the nature of the work I'm doing.
It's not every day that one has the privilege of watching a new order emerge.
Perhaps you will be here to document it.
I should like that very much. The story of a new enclave should be made available to all. Every detail, out in the light. I'm struck with inspiration. I need to return to base camp and get started on my history. To be here as it's being written. To be the one writing it. Oh, what a privilege.
Oh, they're gone. Do they always do that?
Yes, that's a fairly frequent occurrence.
Well, with my mind at ease, for now, at least, I will thank you and bid you farewell. My list of petitions is smaller by one, at the moment.
We're here to help. Talk later.
Bryn, I examined the wreckage at the Grand Gate after everything that transpired there.
Found something useful?
A kinetic strand, in fact. The Ark must have torn it from the Herald's pattern in the chaos of the battle.
Think we could weave it into my mantle?
I don't see why not. Its pattern appears to be quite similar to those found on wild creatures and Archons.
All right. We need every advantage.
Then let's get to work. I wonder what Lucia would make of our repairs to the Ark of Verdance. Not to mention its upcoming journey to the source.
Who wouldn't want to see their vision fulfilled, even decades after she'd conceived of it?
And we're finished. This will be quite the powerful addition to your mantle.
How so?
This strand can twist kinetic magic into a tunnel. In battle, you could push debris or enemies through it and send them flying through the air quite forcefully.
Could I jump through it?
I suppose you could?
Hey, there's a lot of tall buildings, flying creatures. This is going to be great.
You're right. Just try to be careful.
I appreciated your candor in the meeting, Sev.
It was terrifying. Wasn't sure I'd be allowed to stay. You didn't get to voice an opinion with the others. Are we...
All circumstances aside, you saved the day. Solar and I said we had your back, and it paid off. Quick thinking having the scry open.
I knew something was wrong the moment that thing started talking to me when Stanild wasn't around. It was very focused on you.
Me?
So much so that it said the only way the plan would succeed was if you talked to it. It reeked of trap. I didn't survive a decade around Tarzan Norians without picking up when someone's holding a knife behind their smile.
But you still took me down there.
Sorry. An educated risk. I felt there was nothing it could do and wanted the whole band to hear it talk. I don't think it understood we have the scry.
And Stanild wouldn't use one, of course.
The Talon was his deepest secret. Whom would he tell?
Can you tell me more about Stanild's plans for once he went through the Grand Gate?
He was counting on Isla. She was exceptional at protective fields. But even then, no. I don't think he had a real plan. The Talon had convinced him he'd be able to survive and, fool that he was, he trusted it. We can't afford that mistake. But I have a theory. You know how the weather sometimes skews wildly hot and cold?
Right. The aeroliths.
What else do we see on similar cycles?
Miasma.
Exactly. So, it follows...
You think the aeroliths are able to affect raw magic somehow?
I do. And in Stanild's private records and designs. I found notes specifically on aeroliths with Norian commentary.
You think the Norians were involved in their creation?
It would certainly explain why Tarza had such access to aeroliths before the Surge. If I'm right, this might be the key to making the source survivable.
Fewer tangles means less dead me. Absolutely. Where do we start?
You'll need to head to the Watersmith area of the Institute, and I'll guide you from there. See those massive pipes running along the roof? Norian design. I recognized them earlier, and they prompted my investigation into the Norians and the Enclave.
I could see why Stanild chose you as his lackey. You have a glimmer of thought beneath all that matted fur. My. That's the eye signal. Did you know it can reveal the Enclave's secrets? Not that I needed it to pry into the eye's darker truths. Let me guess. You're trying to find another way to reach the source. I'm all for it. We'll be able to speak more easily there.
Ugh, I'm sick of your voice already.
Such impoliteness is unbecoming of you. Didn't your parents raise you to be a nice, respectful girl? I gather your eyes So the core values your kind instills in their offspring.
Fields from an expedition to the source shortly after the surge. Enchanters suffered severe damage to the coral. All who participated in the expedition were sworn to secrecy by the Eye in power at the time.
This must be the condensing chamber.
This should be the place, Bryn. You're looking for tablets with a circle marked by 6 dots. They look black.
Why not bring them to me instead? Think of what we could do.
Pass.
One of them, Bryn. I hope they would still be down here.
What should we expect?
The Norians were experimenting without informing the Enclave on the aerolifts. They wanted them to do more than just moderate the weather. They wanted to control it.
They got tired of long winters? Gloomy days?
Think bigger. If you control the rain in a desert, you control the land itself.
Too unreliable. Why not just offer incredible power and endless life to the rulers?
Should be enough for us to piece their research together, Bryn.
How delightful. But Fussy One has you running his errands. And lo, he is pleased.
Shush. Will I be learning how Norians hide their information, Sev?
Yes. And if word gets out, we're both going to be hunted.
The best knowledge is always dangerous.
I like this one.
I shouldn't be surprised the Norians use a fluid to conceal their secrets. It's ingenious, really. An acid of sorts that can etch the writing into the metal invisibly. And when you apply another compound, it oxidizes. It's like a legible rust, and yet, after you're done, you can just wipe it clean and it flakes off.
Medium aside, what did we learn?
As Sev expected, research on the aeroliths. It's a bit outside my speciality, so I passed it to Dharm.
And how are we feeling about Sev's revelations?
It's not like I've never kept things from my friends, and I generally keep them from my family, so I empathize. But I don't keep them from the band. Anyway, Dharm's waiting.
Lane said I should talk to you about the plates we found for Sev.
Perhaps you could walk with me?
Sure.
I have already passed my notes on. This conversation isn't about them. I wanted to ask how you're doing with regards to Sev.
At the end of the day, he broke his oath for us. I respect that. As soon as he felt there was a risk to the band, he correctly warned us.
It's true. His judgment has been better than his timing. Still, what we're seeing now is the chrysalis of a capable and intriguingly well-informed young man.
He's going to go so much further with us than with the Norians.
Ultimately, I will say this. There was a time in my life I walked away from everything I held most important. Sev is handling it better than I did. He's not angry or bitter, he's just working through the problem. It's kind of you to help him. I'm sure he appreciates it more than he'll ever be able to say. So I'm saying it for him. Sev already has my notes. Good luck in your endeavors.
Exciting news, Bryn.
You figured out how to clear the source?
Nothing quite that far along, but we are a step closer. As I suspected, the Norians were doing experiments not even Enclave leadership knew about. Not to just stabilize the weather, but directly control its extremes.
Which is pretty much what we're seeing the aeroliths do, here and now.
I honestly think that these experiments, left unattended, are the direct cause of the wild temperature changes. Likely contributed to the floods as well, though I suspect Asylum was the larger cause there. Regardless, if I can pick up where their research left off, we might have a solution to our problem at the source.
What did the Norians stand to gain controlling the weather anyway?
Their power base has always been in Taza, where the deserts need water to grow. Imagine being able to withhold rain or worsen heat at a whim. What kind of power would that give you? The kind the worst parts of the Order crave.
If we succeed, will we be able to stop the weather fluctuations entirely?
I hope so, in time. But the system has been out of control for years. For now, I want to focus on our immediate problem of the Source and the Surgeborn.
Did your research say anything about miasma and tangles?
No. Those phenomena are too new to be in the records you recovered, which are pre-Surge.
What will it take to move from might have a solution to definitely have a solution for the source?
The research you recovered focused on using patterns from creatures with natural flame and frost affinity. It used those patterns to briefly augment one part of the enchantments woven into an aerolith.
Use flame magic to tilt the aerolith hotter for a time?
Yes, exactly. And they had some success with it, proving the method's viable.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but too bad there aren't miasma creatures.
There's one, and Dharm already managed to recover some of its pattern.
But not enough?
Oh, absolutely enough. You've been working hard and it's paid off. I needed an exquisite resonance from all three types of magic. And we have that.
That's fantastic. Is that it then?
We're going to combine them with the Norian's notes and Dharm's studies of the Herald to build a device to influence the aeroliths. I gave the design to Sola. She said it should be doable, but wants your approval on which materials to use.
If this could pull miasma out of the source somehow, sign me up.
It's the most promising lead I have. And it's very promising indeed.
Careful, Seth. That was one of the most complicated things we've ever collectively assembled.
I hope it wasn't too much.
Not at all. The only tough part was Dharm hovering the entire time. He's enthralled with this device.
Oh, well,
I'm teasing you, Seth. I'm not sure if you'll still be my apprentice after all this, but I will tease you.
No more learning to smith.
Now. I'm not saying that. We just need to figure out what comes next together. Which brings me to the question of the hour. You were already a Norian. Why did you want to be my apprentice anyway?
Rambralem.
Oh! That makes so much more sense. You could have just told me.
That's a cultural thing for you, isn't it?
Oh, you know. Yes. Very much so. But yes, Sola. I'm sorry. I was afraid if you dug too hard into my past, you might learn about the Norians.
And they don't like people digging.
No, they truly don't. That is your answer, though.
And this is your intricate doodad. I cannot wait to see what it does.
This airlift should be perfect, Bryn.
Right. Done.
That's all we needed. The others have been helping me with a little project on the side. A surprise for you.
No hints?
You'll see.
Council records are meant to be public. Wonder what else the Eye was hiding from his people. Records on the construction and maintenance of grand gates across the Enclave. Last time we went looking for answers in the Bastion, half the documents were torn to shreds. What else were they hiding behind the Eye's signet? Looks like research that's been compiled on the ecological and geographic impact of the Surge across the Enclave's landscape. There's an entire section of the Great Chasm. What has Sev been building? What's all this, big guy?
The culmination of all our efforts, Bryn.
He wanted it to be a surprise.
Consider me impressed. But what exactly does it do?
He hasn't told you?
As Casman said, I wanted it to be a surprise.
Sev, we all do better work with context. This is something you're going to need to get used to.
Yeah. You're a weaver now. I heard you say so yourself.
It's the culmination of a Norian dream. But unlike them, I'm not going to use it to put a nation in a stranglehold. No. I'm going to change the weather. For you.
For me?
Yes. It will take some resources, so let's be judicious, but yes. We can change the weather before your expeditions.
So all those patterns I collected?
Critical to calibrating things. Weather and miasma alike. The creatures have been exposed to so many wild environmental swings. They were affected in ways I could use to calibrate to the aerolift's patterns.
And that's what Dom was helping with?
Everyone has helped Bryn. Literally everyone. No politics, no backstabbing. I could get used to this.
Good. All that stuff wastes time and energy.
You said this will take resources. Am I hunting more patterns, or...?
Nothing so dire.
Bryn, you've got enough to worry about. Let us sort it. We'll treat it just like upgrading the camp. Maybe I end up trading with the Hearthsiders. Maybe we do a little alchemy. We'll handle it.
Well, this is incredible. What's involved with actually making it happen?
Well, it's not simple for me. But for you, I'll keep it simple. If we want to make a change before you leave, we can do it as part of the preparation. The aerolifts are all connected. And the device we created will let me give them let's call it a shove, for a day or so.
We've run some limited tests, and everything holds up. It's really rather ingenious.
And we'll give you quite the edge. Imagine tossing a drought when a frost creature is hunting.
It can affect miasma, too, yes?
Yes, it can. Which is promising. If we can clear you a path somehow to the source, we know the Ark of Verdance should be able to give you a clear workspace.
For machinery repair and herald elimination alike.
Exactly. Now you need to find a way to reach the source. And I need to find a way to clear that path. Still, promising.
Have I ever told you how much I enjoy watching your expeditions on the Scry?
You do?
Look, it's no secret that when Aurea injured her wing, I was skeptical of you taking over expeditions. So I started watching you to make sure things were going well.
You mean to make sure I didn't screw up?
Fine. That's what I was doing. At least at first. On one of your first expeditions into the Hollow, I watched you take a swing at that massive Archon thinking it was inactive. Then, when its eye lit up, these visions of you dying started swarming me. I panicked and asked Aurea if you were ready for this, hoping she'd pull you out immediately. Then you began climbing the Ark. And it was like everything in my head just went quiet. That does not happen often. You had this serene look on your face. Like this was exactly the challenge you'd been waiting a lifetime for.
It was.
When you took it down without breaking a sweat, I was secretly pretty impressed.
I like hearing you had faith in me, even back then.
It's only grown tenfold. After that, I enjoyed watching you on the Scry. Knowing you're out there, keeping all of us safe, relaxes me and keeps the visions at bay.
How are you feeling about Sev, Sola?
Delighted.
Not upset to lose an apprentice?
I'll find more. Lots of talent among the Hearthsiders, according to the Axle. And that's perfect. They'll learn quick, just like Sev did. I'm proud of him. And controlling the weather itself. Incredible. I've learned from a lot of years on the road that change is the natural way of things.
Our time in the Enclave has certainly proven that.
Anticipating change and finding joy in it, the best thing you can do in your life. I've always wanted to build something like this.
You know, I can't stop thinking. Could Stannard have fixed the weather?
From what Sev said, the former I was more a political animal than an expert.
Yeah, that makes sense. If only he'd shared what he had access to with people who were halfway competent. Anyway, I just hope Sev can keep digging. He's got a good head on his shoulders.
I hope you're not afraid of diving into bottomless pits.
Hardly. Maybe a little. Why?
Despite the Grand Gates no longer functioning, there is a more direct way to reach the source. By dropping straight down into a rift in Lower Denevron.
You know, last time I wanted to charge into a restricted area, you weren't so sure it was a great idea.
People change. Maybe I've learned a thing or two about calculated risk-taking from you. And the prospect of securing the source makes this a risk worth taking.
With this knowledge and Sev's plan to control the miasma with the aeroliths, I'll get Aurea to call a meeting with the Axel.
Perfect.
You look like you've got something on your mind, Sev.
I'm struggling a little, perhaps. I find myself torn.
Between Casmin's stews and Darm's spiced pork? Same.
Pork. Stew gets in my fur. That aside, I find myself both wanting to tear down the Norians and redeem them. Surely not everything they did was self-serving politics. There had to be some craft or artistry behind it.
That's the part of Norian-ness that appeals to you?
Recently I found records, experiments to improve flow rates across the tapestry.
Better pipes?
Pretty much. The team was working on it right around the time the surge hit.
Any idea where?
Not too far from here. Odd they'd set up in a swamp, but perhaps it was a stress test.
We're going to have to fix the Enclave eventually. Better pipes can't hurt. I'll check it out.
You are tireless, Bryn.
I believe we need every edge we can get. This place keeps throwing us surprises, and preparation is key.
You're right, but we all notice how hard you work. I know what it feels like to work without praise. Feels good to shine a little sun on your achievements.
This is the Norian side, sir.
Yes. They were working out of that cave.
Sheltered yet deadly. It wasn't that way before the surge. Shipping crates, marked Project Junction 4X9.
Sounds familiar. I'll look into it.
Abandoned in a hurry.
Anyone who survived the tapestry overloading probably ran for the nearest loom gate. About our Norian findings, would you forgive an observation before we start?
Sure. What's up?
This is the second time I've been able to just collaborate. The Axle helped me without question. Aram could get used to this.
And what did the combination of your excellent minds discover?
That marking you found, for Junction 4X9, it's a location code. The Norians and Enclave had a system to track the flow of raw magic. The Khan and I did some archival digging, and we know where it's located.
Is that a common way to track piping?
Only for Norians. Our waterworks are hidden. It keeps their secrets. But also makes them hard to track.
In Taza, you mean?
Yes, but here too. The Enclave was invested in keeping the tapestry out of sight.
You wanted to find something practical. This sounds like it counts.
Oh, Bryn, yes. I needed this. Something skillfully wrought and worthy of study. Even uncovering how they balanced the pressure would take years. Amazing.
Since you know where this Junction X... whatever is, am I heading there?
Not just yet. I don't want to waste your time.
Oh?
My working theory is that they used that junction to rebalance the flow of raw magic to their worksite.
To what end?
If they wanted to test new piping technology, they'd need contents for the pipe. Water wouldn't behave like raw magic does. Compression and so on. Major junctions had valves that changed the pressures and flow, but took specialized tools to operate.
How specialized, exactly?
They were Norians. Why use a wrench when you can make a special secret wrench?
A wrench hunt, then. Sounds like a trick they play on junior artisans.
I doubt we'll just find one lying around. We did, however, find the designs. Encoded, of course.
I bet Zola's already heating up the forge.
Yes. I wish they didn't use such exotic alloys, but magical flow control requires them.
It's okay, Sev. I'm on it.
Takes you back, doesn't it? Just like when we first arrived, trying to get things working, unaware there's a whole twist of piping under our feet.
One day we're just trying to get a loom gate functional.
And the next, we're going to have to face the heart of the Enclave and figure out how to fix this damned place.
If anyone can do it, it's Bryn.
Oh, of course you can. Anyway, enough of that. Do we need to send a team?
No. The valves were designed to be worked easily, even by one person. All it should take is a steady eye and a strong arm.
Asher strong? Or do I need to channel my inner big burly Ram?
You should be fine. That said, I do think all of you would look better with tusks.
You're entitled to your incorrect opinion.
Ha! So, feel up to some junction hunting, Britain.
So much safer than my usual quarry. Less mobile, too.
These Norian designs are really something.
Looking over the fancy wrench?
Ha! Sev said you'd call it that. But yes, I've never seen anything so over-engineered in my life. Sev tells me they built it inscrutable so that no one could copy it. I simplified it down for our purposes.
That will make it easier to produce more.
Lot to learn from the Norians. Both what to do and cautionary tales. That's an intimidating silhouette.
Anyone else missing Sev? He was always quiet, but his presence was felt nonetheless.
I definitely miss his help, but I'm happy he's found his place in the band.
Don't mind the space for now, personally.
junction now.
That turned easily enough. Creaked a little, but seems stable now.
Perfect.
Certainly easier than Loomgate repair.
If we could have stopped the flow with a tool like this, the Hollow's Loomgate would have been trivial.
That should have cleared the gnawing in the worksite.
Only one way to find out. Good news, Seth. The cave looks tangle-free.
That seals it then. Ah, literally and figuratively.
So, is this broken one the new, improved piping?
No, they hadn't replaced it yet. We can run our tests later.
First things first. We need to deal with the source problem before we can even think about the tapestry.
One problem at a time. I agree.
We have our Norian prototypes. How you feeling? Theories proven, research recovered.
A successful collaboration by any measure.
So, we know the cave was inaccessible because of the leak.
Yes, suggesting most other tangles are from damage to the tapestry. Major breakages always seem to have one nearby.
If there's raw magic in that part of the tapestry, at least.
Exactly. Now that we know how to shut down a part of the tapestry, we should be able to make repairs.
What did you find in the notes from the cave?
Exactly what I was hoping to see. Advanced material sciences. Results from experiments on pressure containment.
Unsuccessful containment.
True. But in fairness, it wasn't the new design that failed.
I'm glad I could help, Sev.
More than anything, this has reminded me that not all Norians are scheming political animals.
Some are you.
Well, not anymore. But yes, some are more interested in sharing their expertise and pushing it further. And that's enough to give me hope that maybe if we get out of here, there's a way I could reform things.
Or at least open some eyes.
Exactly. That's a problem for the future, though. For now, there are tests to run. The more I dwell on the prospects of repairing the tapestry, the more excited I become.
The experimental piping is working, then?
Yes, it is. I've been running numerous tests. And for me, this is a chance to do some actual engineering, away from the Order's influence. Those who cross them disappear in the night. But unless they also have an Arc of Verdance, they can't reach me here.
Norians are really that ruthless.
It was the mystique they cultivated. But who knows how much action they took. That's the problem with secret societies, Bryn. After a while, it's just secrets all the way down.